Everybody here today. This is an exciting time for me. On a personal note, I appreciate the opportunity to serve in the United States Congress and to serve as the chairman of this subcommittee. It's truly a thrill and an honor, and I hope to live up to the high expectations that I think people have in the roles and the duties in this seat. This is the first meeting of the National Security, Homeland Defense, and Foreign Operations Subcommittee. I'd also like to welcome the Ranking Member Tierney. I look forward to working with him. I have a good personal relationship with him, and while we may disagree on some things, I think we can be united in our love of country and the need and the function of this committee. So, I want to also welcome those here that are here for the very first time, and all the new members that have joined in this 112th Congress. Looking forward to a very active year. Today we're examining the challenges facing the Defense Department and State Department as they transition from a military to civilian-led effort in Iraq. On November 17, 2008, the Bush administration and the government of Iraq signed a Status of Forces Agreement which set a December 31, 2011 deadline for the departure of all U.S. military forces from Iraq. As agreed, the U.S. has withdrawn over 90,000 personnel, 40,000 vehicles, and 1.5 million pieces of equipment. Today, there are fewer than 50,000 U.S. forces in Iraq. As the military draws down, the State Department is ramping up. According to Ambassador Kennedy, the Department will, quote, will continue to have a large civilian mission in Baghdad, end quote, to, quote, meet the President's goal for an Iraq that is sovereign, stable, and self-reliant, end quote. In support of this effort, the State Department will help train the Iraqi police, operate an Office of Security Cooperation to manage foreign military sales, train and equip the Iraqi military, and ensure that ongoing reconstruction projects are properly transferred to Iraqi control. To do this, it will dispatch hundreds of employees to Iraq. Yet each of these employees will be supported by roughly 16 contractors. It is estimated that the State Department will eventually employ nearly 17,000 personnel as contractors. The rough cost to the U.S. taxpayer will be in the range of $6.27 billion in fiscal year 2012 alone. The State Department will rely on these contractors for services ranging from the simple food supply to counter mortar and rocket fire. Many in the oversight community have expressed concern about the State Department's ability to meet this daunting challenge, and rightly so. The State Department's core mission is diplomacy, not combat. In its July 2010 report, the Commission on Wartime Contracting stated that, quote, there is not enough evidence of a thorough, timely, and disciplined planning approach to the coming transition, end quote. In his written testimony today, the Commission still maintains that the State Department is not necessarily ready to carry out this mission. Stuart Bowen's written testimony today also questions the State Department's capacity, quote, to execute program elements in the post-DOD setting to ensure adequate oversight and simply to function in the unpredictable security situation that will exist after troop withdrawal, end quote. These concerns are echoed by Ambassador Patrick Kennedy. In an April 7, 2010 letter to Undersecretary of Defense Ashton Carter, he stressed that the State Department would have to, quote, duplicate the capabilities of the U.S. military, end quote, in order to fulfill a security mission. In a plea to the Pentagon, Ambassador Kennedy warned the Department personnel would suffer, quote, increased casualties, end quote, without the transfer of military hardware, including Black Hawk helicopters and MRAP armored vehicles to State. As best we can tell, the Defense Department is yet to provide the necessary equipment or even necessarily formally respond to this letter. While cooperation between the top military officer and top diplomat on the ground in Iraq has been generally praised, it seems like the senior leadership of the relevant departments in Washington may be playing off on a different sheet of music. I am also concerned that State and Defense have less than transparent with the Oversight Committee. It has come to my attention that personnel within each department have begun restricting the Oversight Committee's access to critical information and personnel. If this is the practice, it must end. This administration must be transparent and forthcoming with SIGIR, GAO, the Inspectors General, that they may fulfill their obligations to oversee this transition. The central issue before us today is whether the State Department is ready to assume the mission in Iraq. From all outward appearances, the answer appears to be no, at least a huge question mark. With only 10 months left, the administration must work quickly to get this right, if for no other reason than that over 4,400 American service members have given their lives for it. I look forward to hearing from our panel of witnesses today.